some chess. I want you to just copy my thought process and how I think. Let's go e4. And we're already playing against a Sicilian defense. And plays a6. I think this is the O'Kelly variation of the Sicilian. We're always going to play d4. He plays e5 to immediately chase away my knight. I could pull my knight back to b3 or f3. Let's just put the knight on b3. I have some experience with the knight on b3. Knight f6 attacks my pawn. Knight c3 does guard the pawn, but I'm sure my opponent has bishop b4 in mind. So I'm wondering if this is any good. Wondering if I should just pin the knight, but then there's e6, takes, knight here. He's still gonna pin. Knight c3, bishop b4, bishop d3, d5, takes, knight takes. Yeah, this is weird. This is already weird. Let's just go with knight c3. It's the most principled move, but bishop b4 is super annoying. But my opponent played h6. So basically they don't want me to play bishop g5. But then I don't want him to play bishop b4. So I'm also going to play a3. So from here, it should just be regular development. He plays d6. And it could be a transposition into some Najdorf Sicilian. My pawn definitely does not belong on a3 though. So that is something. But let's just play f3 here. And I'm going to play it like a Najdorf. So bishop e6 was played. Let's just develop here. Bishop e3. He develops his knight. And we're going to go queen to d2. Now, my opponent basically tricked me into playing the Najdorf with my pawn on a3. So that was very commendable by him. Knight c5 I've never seen. So I'm not sure if that's the best. The thing is though, the knight is attacking my knight. And the bishop is also attacking my knight. So I definitely have to react to this move. So let's take the knight. And then once the opponent takes back, he does not have a weak pawn anymore. I'm going to choose to keep the queens on the board though, because I could eventually play rook to d1. And if I take his queen, I'm just helping his rook. And then if I castle, I don't really like what comes after castle. So I'm thinking of queen f2 to attack this, queen b6, then I castle. That's a bit risky though. How do we do this? Yeah, let's just go queen to f2. I'm attacking c5, so you could say I have some slight initiative. If queen b6 with the idea of attack, okay, queen went there. The thing is, I still don't like the idea of castling because I already gave him this hook. So once the pawn gets to b4, I'm toast. Knight to d5 is what I would love to play though. And I also need to develop my pieces. If I castle b5, knight d5, yeah, that's weird. Let's just go bishop to e2 here. Bishop to e2 seems like a fair move. It's a development move. He develops his bishop, and I simply get my king out the center of the board. This is just a regular normal position. Pretty balanced though. I didn't manage to get any advantage coming out of the opening. Let me put my rook on the file. Rooks needs files. This is definitely a bad bishop, and I need to get rid of this bishop. I don't really like the idea of my opponent playing b5, so I'm thinking about the prophylactic a4 here, just to prevent him from playing b5. And again, it's just a regular position. He's 2350, so obviously he knows something about chess. I'm trying to play as fast as I can, because for one, I left my mouse back home, and I'm not in the country. And two, he's actively pressuring my clock. So he puts the rook here, doesn't do much. Queen here is a threat, but it doesn't do much. a5 is interesting. Knight d5 is just blundering. Okay, I think the best I could do here is go for an endgame, because I do not have any good plans. Remember that plans come with breaks, and I do not have any good breaks. So let's go for the endgame. Rook takes. It got his rook on the file, but then I'm going to swing my other rook in the game. That's the idea. My b2 pawn is unprotected, so I need to be aware of that. Let's take with the bishop, and then I may put my queen on the open file. Especially since my time is low, I think an endgame was not a bad decision. Queen c6, I think he still wants to play b5. Or I could just go bishop a2 to prevent b5, but then my queen won't be active. So let's just put my queen on the file. If b5, that's fine. I'll probably just take it. Knight d5 does not do anything. Okay, let's just take. Yeah, let's take. Knight d5 still doesn't work. Bishop e2 attacks the pawn. I think black is slightly better here actually. Pawn c4 guards it. And the reason why is because my light squared bishop is just back. And bishop b4 looks like it's coming. And I think both of my bishops are doing fine here. So I'm going to go queen to d1. I want to get my queen on the a file. Yeah, but pawn b4. Yeah, this guy is very good at chess. Knight d5 is losing. I have to undevelop my knight. Here or here? Where do I put the knight? Maybe here. Yeah, let's put it on b1. Okay, this is not the best position. Knight d2, because I have to get my knight back in the game. The good thing is, I think I'm slightly worse, but I'm not lost, if that makes sense. So he's trying to trade bishops. Definitely don't want to take because then it helps his queen. That check does not do anything at all for me. So let me just protect my bishop. If he wants to take and help my queen, that's on him. Okay, how do I get my knight in the game? My knight can't go here or here. So maybe I need to play c3. Okay, but then he played c3. Let's take. It looks like it's a pawn sacrifice, but I have to accept it. Bishop a2. Yo, what a move. My knight is just trapped. My queen can't guard it. My queen is overloaded. Alright, if I take, he's gonna take. Then I take. Okay, let's take. This is losing, by the way. My knight was just trapped. Had no squares. Yeah, my knight had no squares. Have to take here. He takes my knight, and I'm just done by a piece. I'm gonna go c4 though. So I have 2 pawns. He has the piece. My time is also low, but these 2 pawns that I have are passed pawns. So I could try to swindle my way out of a win. Let's see. Or a draw. Don't think I can win this. Queen a4 seems to be the strong move. I just need to push my pawns. Like once I get my pawns pushing up the board, then I could hope for some complications. If the queen goes here, I put my queen here. So the knight went back because he wants to play here, I'm assuming. It's a nice move. Hit the bishop. Where does the bishop go if I just attack it? Let's attack the bishop. My time is also running out, so I have to play fast. So attack the bishop. Not seeing where the bishop is going, but let's see what he has up his sleeve. I have to play fast. He checks. How does that help the bishop? Not sure. Pawn c5 attacks the queen. If knight takes, I can't take back. So that's going to be an issue. So I'm going to move my king here. Still not seeing where he puts the bishop. And I have 2 passed pawns. Maybe I got back in the game, which is weird. But let's see. If I win the bishop, he's definitely going to try to flag me. And I have to play fast even with 3 minutes on the clock because I can't do that thing that you guys see me do where I checkmate someone with 2 seconds because I'm using this mouse. And I paid like $12 for it. Alright, let's take the bishop. I'm actually ahead by a pawn. That's crazy. Okay, knight c5 was played. Obviously, I can't take the knight. I think I have to give up a pawn here. If I go here, he takes this. And if I go here, he takes this. I have to guard this one though. So let's go here. Oh, but then if I go here, knight takes threatens a checkmate. And I can't push. Wait. So maybe I go here. And if knight takes, I go here. Okay, let's go here. Yo, I have to be super careful. There's a lot happening. The position is not going to be equal, by the way. But I have 2 passed pawns, so that's what I'm working with. And I have to play fast. So knight takes e4. I'm going to play c5 immediately. And then maybe even b5. Knight is under attack though, so he has to move it. Wait, this is tricky. If knight takes, I could check and win the knight. Bro, nice. Because I'm like, why is this guy thinking? And he's been playing so fast. Okay, queen f6 check. Let's just block with the bishop though, right? Or do I just move the king? Maybe here. He has no checks after I put the king here. I don't want to put my bishop into a pin. Yeah, that's where I'm putting the king. And now he still has to move the knight, which means I'm ahead by a pawn. The knight is going here or here. Those are good squares for a knight. Good squares for a knight. So if the knight goes there, okay, what's the fastest way to get my pawns on the board? That's the question. Push. Okay, let's push the c pawn because the b pawn is easier to move. The knight is probably going to just stay on d4. That's like a perfect square for a knight. Yeah. So my bishop is under attack. This pawn is unprotected. Just bishop f1 is what I'm going to play though. Yeah, bishop f1. I want all my pieces to be coordinated. My e5 pawn is unprotected. I maybe have to sacrifice that pawn if I want to get my pawns pushing. My time is running though. So the queen went here, clearly attacking this. This is what I want to play. I have to play fast. Okay, let's go here. And if I play here, I lose this. And if I go here, he takes here. Okay, maybe I need my bishop on f3. So he moves the king. Let's go bishop e2. Maybe I need to even get my king in the game. And this is going to be risky. Yeah, this is going to be a slow grind. Very slow grind. g6, king f2, maybe bishop f3. And he's going to want to start checking my king. How do I get my pawn moving? Okay, bishop f3, queen c4, queen c4. Yeah, I'm doing weird stuff now with my king. h3. Let's play h3 so that way I can move my king to a g3. Oh, but then he does that. Okay, queen c4. Let's go queen c4. The knight is just better than my bishop. That's the thing. That's a huge problem. I think I need to sacrifice one of my pawns to get the other one rolling or something. But I can't figure out how to do it. Cushy as knight takes. Okay, let's go here. I just need to not blunder as yet. push. Yeah, that's the plan. That's the plan. Plan is to play b5. So I think he's gonna put the queen back. Yeah. So I go here. Plan is to then he checks. I go, oh boy, here. No, he has this check. Okay, I'm just gonna push the pawn. Check. I go here. Yeah. I don't think he wants a draw because my time is running out. Oh, plus he has this. Oh my God, he has this. I'm good with a draw. I don't have no time, so I have to take a draw here. I think he's gonna take this pawn. Okay, let's move. Okay, let's move. Yeah, and he would have done that. Then I push my pawn. That's the plan. I'm just gonna push the pawn. If he wants to draw, then that's on him. I think I could try to win, but I don't have enough time to try to win. And I think he's gonna try to win. Okay, I'm gonna at least put the king here. Why am I trying to win? I have no time. I can't win. Okay, it's drawn. Oh well. I mean, I was losing the entire game anyways. I definitely did not play the opening well. Let's see. So basically, I played at 90%, he played at 91%. And my opening was 25-50. His opening was 25-50. So all of these are fine. I guess I needed to put my knight back here. So we actually didn't make a lot of mistakes in this game. Well, Queen F2 was a mistake. Rook D1 was a mistake. That was also a mistake. I just didn't know how to play the position. Yeah, I wanted to do this, but I wasn't comfortable with the fact that his rook was so active. But I guess there's no way for him to infiltrate. Well, let's keep going. So this guy's 21-52. I'm going to play e5 this game. So knight f3. Let's go. Let's do Petrov. Let's do Petrov. He takes, we chase the knight, take back our pawn, regular stuff. Okay, bishop e2 is just, yeah, that's just a normal position. Let's just play d5 here. You're going to just develop normally here. He castles. I'll develop my bishop to d6. I'll castle my king. If he plays d3, then he's going to have to play d4 in the future. So let's see what approach he's going to take. Knight to c3 is also a possibility here, yeah, because he attacks this and this at the same time. And if I take, he takes, and I'm helping his bishop. I'm thinking of playing c6 here. And if he takes, I take, and his knight is under attack. So let's play c6. It's important that you don't take and help the opponent to get activity. You only play moves like those if you have to do it. So d4 was played. Then now I simply castle my king. I have two pieces that needs development. He has only one piece that needs development. So he's going to complete his development before me. Knight takes c3 looks like plan because it definitely doubles his pawn, but not seeing exactly how that helps me though. I'm thinking of f5 here, but let's just go bishop f5. I think I need to just focus on my development for now. Knight d7 is my next move. And then after I complete my development, then I'll start trying to be fancy. And it's important that any plan that you're playing with in the opening, it has to involve development, or else it's not usually a good plan. So the knight took. Now, if I take with the pawn, then that's going to be interesting. If I take with the bishop, I think he has knight back. I take with the pawn, he has to move the knight. Well, he's still going to play knight back. And then I'm going to go bishop back and f5. And then I'm going to attack him. Let's take with the pawn. I think taking with the pawn is just way more aggressive. Knight to e5 is obviously also a move, which I missed. But let's just go knight d7. If he takes my knight, then he's moving the same piece too much times. I only move my knight once. So this should put me back in the game in terms of development, that is. Because for some reason, he's still not getting his bishop out. With that being said, bishop f4, that gets the bishop out. And it comes with a threat of knight c6. But let's see what he'll play. Knight back to c4. Interesting move. He's still pulling back my pieces. And it looks like this knight is going here. But I shouldn't be afraid of that. Let's just pull the bishop back. I'm keeping my bishop on this long diagonal pointing towards his king. So that's something. Even queen h4. I'm thinking of queen h4 because it puts my queen on his territory. And I'm threatening some bishop takes h3 ideas. I think he needs to play pawn f3. Knight e3 I'm not afraid of. I'll just pull the bishop back. I wasn't sure if it's here or here, but I have to move my bishop. f5, f4 is a plan here. f3 I think he could still try, but if he allows me to play f5 without him playing f3, I should be better. So let's assume that he's going to play f3. Oh, he plays f4. Yeah, that works as well. f4 works as well. Because then if I play f5, my bishop is just bad. So I have to take to ensure that I keep my bishops active. And then his bishop is also active, but the knight is not on its favorite place. So now I need to just connect my rook. So I need to move my queen. That's the most forward square for my queen. And then I need to get my rooks in the game. My knight is unprotected, so I need to be careful. Pawn to d5 is a very strong move. It's not a move that I can prevent though, so I just have to prepare for it. Well, I mean, queen to g3 could be a threat because I'm threatening some queen h2 check ideas. And if he tries to play queen to e1 to trade the queens off the board, then it leaves this pawn unprotected. With that being said, I am not afraid of d5 anymore. So the question is, how does he prevent queen to g3? And by the way, if you're trying to attack or play aggressive chess or just play correct chess, you should always be looking for ways to bring more pieces in the game. Like find your pieces that are not doing anything and put them in the game. If it's a rook, find some open files for your rook. For example, I would love to have both of my rooks on the D and the E file because those are open files where I don't have a pawn. If it's a bishop, put them on a long diagonal. You don't want to have your pawns blocking your bishop. So if you notice, my bishops are on long diagonals. If it's a knight, you want to put your knights in the center of the board or pointing towards the center. So my knight would be very well placed maybe on E4 here, and that would be an ideal setup for me. He's thinking though, so I'm good. So he plays rook to e1. It took him a while to find that move, but that was a decent move. Basically, he's saying if I play queen to g3, he plays knight to f1, and I can't go here. Now, what if I play bishop to g3 and attack his rook? He's just going to play rook to e2, so that doesn't really do much. Still slightly afraid of d5. I need to get some pieces in the game here. Let's go rook to e8. Rook to e8 gets my rook in the game. And queen g3 could be a threat if I play rook to e8, because if he moves the knight, then I'm just going to take here. I think he just needs to develop his bishop. He just needs to connect his rook. For some reason, the guy's not developing. Not sure why. I have some advantage on the time, so I want to keep that advantage. He's thinking. I just needs to develop his bishop. If he develops his bishop, then I take this pawn. I think he's in trouble then. I think he's in trouble. What does he do? Because queen to g3 is the threat. There's no knight f1 because he loses this. Yeah, he's going to be thinking for a while. Okay, so he plays bishop to d2. I think he had to do it. Bishop d2, now I just take the free pawn and I'm ahead by a pawn, right? Do I have a better move though? Can I go bishop to g3 first? Because whenever you find a good move, you want to look for a better one. And then if the rook goes here, then I take. The thing is, I'm just not seeing how exactly that helps. Queen f4 first. Okay. Well, queen f4, knight f1, check. Let's say he moves the king. I take here, but then the rook goes here. I take here, and then eventually he takes here. So let's just take this. Maybe he moves his bishop. Who knows? Let's see. Yeah, I was expecting that. Because the knight and the rook is on the same line, he could be setting up himself to be in some trouble here. Let's say I go back here. The knight still goes to f1. Well, do I want to take? That's the question. Because then his rook takes. He attacks my knight. Where do I put the knight? That's the thing. I'm not sure. Oh, but then if I go here, I lose my knight. Okay, what do we do? Takes. I think I'm forced to trade queens. Yeah, it's forced. Let's take. Now his rook takes. I'm ahead by a pawn. We're in the end game, so I'm just trying to trade. Knight e5 hits the bishop. If takes, rook here, I go here. Pressure the knight and I win the game. So knight e5 should be a good move for now. It's very important that you protect your 7th rank. Remember that rooks belong on the 7th rank. So if his rook find a way to go here, then it's going to be annoying my bishop, annoying my pawns. For now, it's not possible. Okay, he took, was expecting that. Now, I can take with the bishop and attack the pawn, but I'm going to take with the rook so that way I keep the threat of bishop b6, which means there is no rook to d7. I also have the bishop here, which is a slight advantage. What else do I have? If he moves the knight, then c2 is left unprotected. That's good. This is the only piece that is not doing anything. I want to get this rook in the game, so that's also good. I think I'm just chilling here. Plus, I have an advantage on the clock. So he moves the knight. Or keep in mind, it's an unprotected pawn, but my rook is under attack. So don't I just take first? Yeah, let's just take the rook. I want to be trading anyways. The only issue is if I take the pawn, he gets the 7th rank. So worth it. Take free pawn, rook goes to the 7th, give a check, king move, this is under attack. Or, nah, I don't think it's worth it. Yeah, let's not be too greedy. Yeah, let's go king f8, preventing his rook from getting to my 7th rank. I mean, I'm ahead by a pawn. I don't need to complicate the position. I'm going to slowly win. He plays c3 to guard the pawn. I can also just trade the rooks, but let me play the move rook to d8. I want to get my rook to his 2nd rank. And he's also running out of time, so I'm also going to be flagging him. I'm just going to be playing my next few moves a bit quicker. Knight e5. Okay, I know that I have the bishop here. But if I take the knight, definitely don't want the knight to take this bishop because opposite colored bishop would be a draw. If I take this knight, however, and he plays rook takes, then I'll play this. And if the rook goes back, I'll trade the rooks. I'm ahead by a pawn in the bishop's endgame. I will win the game. So let's do this. Plus, he has no time on the clock. So there's no way I'm losing a game against someone who has a minute to my 4 minutes. He pulls the rook back, we trade, and now we're in the endgame. What do we do in the endgame? First of all, it's very important that we get our king in the game, and it's also very important that we push our passed pawns and activate the king. But one more important thing is also to centralize the bishop. That's a very important idea. So let me start by centralizing my bishop. I have my bishop in the center of the board. He's activating his king. I will now activate my king. Remember what we do in the endgame. You push past pawns, attack these pawns, activate the king. Another thing that I want to teach you guys about endgame is in order for me to create my pass pawn, I'm going to create my pass pawn here because I have 3 pawns versus his 2 pawns. But for now, let's just keep activating the king. We have to ensure that we optimize the king as best as possible. So now that the king is in the center, the bishop is in the center, we're doing great. Now, the goal is now to create a pass pawn. It's usually best to create like an outside pass pawn. An outside pass pawn, as the name suggests, create a pass pawn on the outside. So usually the side who is winning does not want to trade pawn, but pawn to f5 is actually a decent move here because after takes, it's now going to be 2 versus 1. And I'm going to be creating a pass pawn further on the outside. And the further your pass pawn is, the easier the fox in the chicken coop technique is going to be. He didn't decide to trade the pawns, but it simply allows me to push my pawn, attack his king. Now I have a pass pawn. He moves the king. Push does not work. How do we win this game? Okay, first of all, okay, no, can't do that. All right, let me just continue to optimize my position. Let me advance my queenside pawns. Another thing that you guys want to keep in mind whenever you're playing against a bishop is it's usually best to put your pawns on the opposite color as the opponent's bishop, which is why I'm putting my pawns on dark squares and he's also putting his pawns on dark squares. Okay, but let's play no, I don't want to play b5. Let's play b6, putting the pawns on dark squares. Okay, bishop c4 was played. If I push, he goes here. Now, this is tricky. Maybe I'm going to go here with the idea of putting my king here. So maybe he's going to prevent that by pulling his bishop back. I'm not really sure how I'm going to convert this into a win, but I'm thinking about how I'm going to put him in zugzwang. Let's play h6. Usually you don't want to trade the pawns, but I'm going to sacrifice this pawn and put him in as zugzwang. Zugzwang basically means it's a position where he has no good moves. For now, let's just pull the bishop back. I'm trying to be clean, but okay. Pawn push I don't want to take because he creates an outside pass pawn. So let's go here. I'm trying to get my king here. Entry is also an endgame technique. Yeah, this is now winning. Because once I get my king here, then I basically enter into his position. And if his bishop takes, I takes. And okay, king here looks like it wins my pawn. He took, I took. But if he tries to win my pawn, I'll take this pawn and then I'll simply queen this pawn. Wasn't the best conversion, but some endgame technique nonetheless. Now I just queen my pass pawn. And then I go here. I'll just take his pawns and he resigns. Now, let's see what was my accuracy this game. So I played at 90. My opponent played at 83. Not bad. My opponent was 2,500. Up until around this point, I was doing everything fine. And then he starts to make mistake. For some reason, I needed to put the bishop all the way down here. Maybe it's because my queen needs to get to b8. Another mistake I made was here. Yeah, h6 was bad. This was the plan I wanted to do. Sacrifice the pawn and then play something like g6 and then force his king to, well, not g6. I guess it's hard. It's a very hard position to play. But we got the win nonetheless. This was also a great move. Let's keep going. So do we now. 2254. e4. Let's just play knight f6 here. z4. Alright, I'm going to play e6 here. I could go bishop b4. I could go d5. All depending on what he plays. Let's see. Knight c3. Do I play Ninja Indian or... Let's try d5. This is the Queen's Gambit decline. Let's try this one. This is going to be a very nice, simple game. Knight f3, we go bishop e7 and castle the king. Nothing too fancy here. Bishop g5, we castle the king. And once we do this, it's now time to figure out how we're going to be developing our queenside pieces. After e3 though, I like to play c6. You know, this pawn triangle is something that you'll see a lot. Bishop to d3, and I usually take on c4 in these types of positions, but I like to play knight to d7 first. Now, in this position, it's crucial that, well, he took on d5. I wanted to show you guys how I'm going to my bishop in the game. But since he took, I'm going to take the e pawn, not the c pawn, because it's important that this bishop is able to get some development. So he castles his king. How do I continue here? Rook to e8 makes a lot of sense. The rook needs files. And then a rook to c1 also makes a lot of sense. Basically, in this position, I think my opponent's plan is to go for a minority attack. And my plan should just be to develop my pieces. I like to play this knight to f8 move because it guards the h7 square. And it also allows me to develop my bishop to e6, f5, or g4, depending on what the opponent does. Let's see. So e1 was played. Now, I'm not sure if the opponent wants to play e4. If he plays e4, then he's going to be left with this isolated pawn. I could simply play bishop to g4 here, just pinning the knight, developing my last piece. Why not? Let's just develop and pin the knight. No, I managed to move all my minor pieces. He plays h3. Let's just pull back. We want to keep our bishop. And if we have to trade this bishop, it's best to trade it for his bishop and not for his knight. Now, h6 is something that I'm thinking of because we definitely don't want to allow that bishop on our half of the board. g4, I'm definitely surprised he plays that move because you generally don't want to be pushing pawns on the side of your king's on like that. Let's pull the bishop back. No, I could confidently say his king is a bit exposed. It looks like he's playing fast though. Knight e5, he's now threatening to take my bishop off the board, so I'm just going to take his bishop. The good thing is, I managed to exchange my bad bishop for his good bishop. And then after queen takes, I think he may want to play f4. And he also has two pieces on my half of the board. And remember what we said about pieces being on your half of the board, it's a no-no. So I'm going to try to neutralize these pieces. I'm going to start by playing knight to d7. The goal is just to trade this bishop, then trade this knight, then I'll have no piece on my half of the board. Let's play queen takes. And then he plays f4. Now, if I takes, he takes, then I'm fine. I'm thinking of just playing f6 here though. Okay, this is something. I take, he takes, I play f6, he takes, I takes, he plays rook here, my queen is under attack. I play here, trade, and then my plan is to prevent e5 or something. It's either that or just immediate f6. But if immediate f6, he pulls the knight back. Okay, yeah, this is weird. This is weird. There's also knight g6, which is definitely something. Let's take. Yeah, let's just take, and then f6. We don't want to allow the pawn on our half for too long. Now, once he takes, I takes. I think it's just a regular, normal, equal position. No one has an advantage just yet. Now, e4, I was not expecting. No, it's no longer a normal position. Now, if I take this pawn, he's going to take this pawn. So I'm just going to take this pawn first. And then I'm going to take this pawn. Yeah, now I'm going to take this. And I could confidently say if he takes with the rook, he has an isolated pawn. And if he takes with the pawn, he also has an isolated pawn. Still don't think I have any advantage, but I don't hate my position. He took the pawn. My rook is the only piece that's not doing anything. So let's get the rook in the game with a tempo on the queen. I think he's going to go queen e3 to regain the tempo on my pawn. That definitely makes some sense. And then I'll play a6. Okay, it's an interesting position for sure. Yeah, I was expecting that. Question is, do I do this? And if he takes, I take? Yeah, I don't think I want to do that. Let's play a6. Now, he has an isolated pawn. I think he pushed the pawns on the side that his king is on. That's what I'm going with in the moment. And then he pulls his knight back. Where's the knight heading? Not sure. That's a weak pawn. Why can't I just play rook to d5 and attack the weak pawn though? And if he pushes, I take. And then he applies some pressure to my pin knight. And then I go back. And then he applies even more pressure to my pin knight. So that's something. If I go here, he could push. Oh, I could go here. Yeah, no, it's tricky. No, it's getting tricky. Okay, I'm going to start by playing the move knight to e6. I'm just blockading his pass pawn. I'm not going to try to rush to capture the pawn. It's definitely a weak pawn, but it could also be a strong pawn. My time is also running out, so I have to be careful as well. I think he's just playing fast to get me to make a mistake in the time pressure, so I have to be aware of that. Knight to g5 in some situations could be something, because I threaten this and I threaten his rook. I can also double up my rooks on either the f file or the d file, because one thing you want to keep in mind is knights are usually good blockading pass pawns, because it stops the pawn from moving and the knight is still active. So that's definitely something. Knight f4. Okay. If I go knight g5, I'm attacking his rook, which is one of the main defenders of his pawn. Is this a removing the guard tactic? If he puts his rook here, I trade rooks first, then I take and I'm ahead by a pawn. This guy just blunder a pawn. Okay, let's see what I'm missing. This looks like removing the guard to me. Yes. Oh, okay. Okay. He had a check. He had a check. All right. Let's block the check with the queen. Now, looks like it's going to be an endgame. I thought that I was cooking something, but I wasn't. And because it's going to be an endgame, I'm thinking of taking with the king. Yeah, let's take with the king. I think rook to f1 is very strong, but I have king e7. Even when you're in the endgame, it's very important that you activate the king. So it may seem a bit off me playing king f7, but you have to activate the king. The only way I'm going to win this is it's a very nice endgame masterclass. I'm also threatening to take his pawn on e5, and then after his rook takes, I check and pick up back the rook. So I really think he's going to play rook f1 next. And because I'm trying not to play too slow, as soon as he plays rook f1, I'm going to play king to e7, taking my king off the same line as the rook. Okay. Rook b4 was played. Now, he's leaving this unprotected, but he's counter-attacking this. Okay. So if I take this, he takes this. I think I need to just guard the pawn, though. I'm fine. Yeah, let's just guard the pawn. This pawn is still vulnerable. I'm still threatening knight to f3. I think he needs to just play rook f1. And if I take his pawn, knight to d3 wins my rook. So after he plays rook f1, yeah, I'm going to be forced to move my king out the way. And if he plays h4, I pull my knight back here. Okay, this pawn is weak, but it's not dying anytime soon. Now, one plan that I have to create my pass pawn is to advance these pawns. Okay, so he pushes the pawn. Let's just pull the knight back to e6. If he takes the knight, then I should be winning because his pawn is too far advanced. And it's actually a weakness in the endgame. Okay, knight went here. That's interesting. No, he's not necessarily attacking this, but I can't move this rook just yet. I have to be careful. Like, I don't want to be the one with the defensive pieces. So I'm going to play b5. And then after b5, I'm going to play c5. So let's play b5 first. This is a risky move because I'm weakening two of my pawns. But my rule I get is to ensure that I'm able to move this rook. So pawn c5 is coming next. And what I was telling you guys is, in order for me to create a pass pawn, this is what I'm going to use. This is called a pawn majority, by the way. And if you want to play the endgame well, use this to win. So for example, if push comes to shove, I may have to advance my pawn majority up the board. And if we just do math, 3 is more than 1. So if 2 of my pawns cancel 2 of his pawns, then I'll be left with a pawn. He pulls his rook back. Now I'm thinking of playing rook to d4. Why rook to d4? Because in the endgame, we must attack the weak pawns. So let's go rook to d4 here. Maybe he has rook to f3 with ideas of playing rook to f7 actually. But if he wants to give me a 3 pawn, that's on him. If I could get him to be defending his pawns, then he'll be in trouble. Remember, a lot of persons do not know how to play the endgame, but best that you could use in the endgame is attack weak pawns. Notice how I'm having him guarding his pawns now? Now I'm going to hit him with rook to e4. Another thing that you want to know in the endgame is whenever you're attacking the pawns, it's usually best to attack the pawns from behind. It's always better from behind. So now, okay, so he counterattacks my pawn. Basically, if I take his pawn, he takes my pawn. But another thing I want to teach you guys in the endgame is, if you're trying to win the game, don't trade pawns, trade the pieces. So I'm going to play the move pawn to c5, not trading the pawns, and I'm advancing my pawn majority. Now, if you notice, because he was pushing the pawns on the side that his king is on, obviously you guys know this, but I like to be a bit repetitive, so that way it really sinks into your brain. So basically, I'm trying to get my rook on his second rank. He puts his rook here. Let's just grab the free pawn. Okay, do I have to do it now though? Like, why don't I just go here? And then if he tries to guard the pawn, I go here. Yes, which means that's another thing that I want you guys to take from this video, which is whenever you see a good move, always try to find a better one. So even though this pawn was hanging, I used the time to get my rook in the game. Why? Because the threat is better than the execution. It is stronger for me to threaten winning the pawn than to actually win the pawn. Which is why, when they're doing the movies, they don't just unalive people. They seem to do it. So the rook went back, he's guarding his second rank. Do I put my rook here? Because this is actually the pawn that I want to win. Yeah, let's put my rook here actually. Another example of the search is better than the execute. Oh yeah. Oh, I blundered. Yeah, I blundered. That was bad. I should have just took the pawn. Well, oh no. Knight here and I'm losing. What? Takes. Okay, let's just take. Okay, if I takes, he takes with the pawn. All right, let's go here. Break it. Okay. I just miscalculated. Completely miscalculated. Okay. I have a pass pawn though. Okay. What to do? My time is also running up. And then try to push my pawn up the board and create a pass pawn. Okay, let's go here. We're still trying to attack weak pawns. Nothing changes, even though we're losing. So he guarded the pawn. And do I go here? Hit the rook? Yeah, let me activate the king. Hit the rook. Let me activate the king. I want a position where my pass pawn is just pushing up the board. My time is running out, and because I left my mouse at home, so I'm using the cheap mouse. So I won't be able to be fancy with the mouse. Okay, he moves the king. Okay, let's play h5. If he takes, I take. Because I'm losing, I want to trade pawns. So if you're losing, you should trade pawns, not pieces though, pawns. I think he has to take, and then I'll take his pawn. And then if he block, okay, he didn't block with the rook, so I'm going to take this. And I got another pawn. So now the position, the material is actually equal. I have two pawns. My king is more active. I have a pass pawn. I could win this game. Okay, he got his rook on the 7. That's another thing I want to teach you guys. Rook belong behind the pass pawn. Remember what I tell you guys, it's okay, missed that. But I must push the pass pawn. I'm going to lose up. Oh, ish. King up. Okay, I have to go here. I missed that as well. I'm missing too much moves, man. Check. King up. I think he wants to draw. Okay, I'm going to go here. I'm threatening to fork, and I'm threatening to go here. So that's actually a nice start. My time is running out though. Once I attack his rook, I'm going to push the pass pawn. So I think he's going to move the king, and I have to immediately put my knight here and attack his rook. Okay, he did that instead. Ah, push. Okay, let's go here. Oh, that was bad, man. I lost the pawn. Okay, let's push the pass pawn. Activate the king. Ah, this is lost. This is lost. Ah, this is lost, man. And I have no time. Check. Check. Takes. I'm just too strong. It's weird. I'm just too good. I'm just too good. Well, I'm not going to win, but I managed to draw the game. I'm taking a draw any day. Oh, I think he's going to try to flab me, actually. Yeah, he's going to try to flab me. And I'm not using my fancy mouse. So that's going to be tough. I have to just pre-move everything. Ha, we got the draw. That was weird. That was weird. Where did I go wrong though? I'm just gonna lie. I'm happy that I found that idea in the end. Like queen pawn, oh, is nice. Let's see. So we just played at 86%. This was the only part where I had an advantage. Yeah, moving the king was bad. But okay, let's see. I tried to be a bit fancy. These were actually the best move. Not taking the pawn was good. But after he plays rook takes, this was when I had to take the pawn. I tried to be a bit too fancy. Just a bit too fancy. And then from here, it's a bit drawn. Yeah, it's actually, wait, what? Black is better if knight here? Okay, no, it's just drawn. Yeah, this is just drawn. The only person who could win this is white though. But what's the move? This is the move that saved me. Yeah, it was this blunder. It was such a nice move. And then it's just drawn from here. Like the video, hit subscribe. Peace.